Thankful that I'm still going to be in a position to occasionally guest host when Art is off. And you know what? I'm so excited that we're going to take calls this hour, everybody. If you want to talk about whatever is on your mind, we can do it. But I do have a few options. Number one, I was at the Lions game yesterday. Ouch. Actually, this is how bad it was, Jonathan. I was wearing a Jared Goff jersey, because why not? If you're a 50-year-old grown man and you own a football jersey, like the only day you can really wear it and be taken seriously is when you go to the actual game.
Yeah.
So we stopped at a restaurant in Troy, and I was just opening the door for people that were coming out. And a guy stops me and goes, "You know, buddy, you really ruined my Sunday." And for a half second, I was like, what? And then I realized that I'm wearing a Jared Goff jersey. So I said, yeah, I'm really sorry. My offensive line kind of kept me on my backside much of the afternoon. I said, that's why I'm here. I needed to have a beer and something to eat afterwards. So we got a good chuckle. But side note, if you're going to wear a Jared Goff jersey on a day that they lose and he doesn't play well, be prepared that you may take a little abuse. So it got me thinking, it's been a while since the Detroit sports team won a championship. So what's the next one that's going to win one, guys? Is it going to be these Lions? Do they have enough? Can they make a run? Is it the Tigers who made the playoffs the last couple of years, but just seem like, I don't know, we can't hit the ball? So we got some work to do there. Is it the Red Wings who are at least playing with some promise here to start the year? Is it the Pistons, who's an up-and-coming franchise and coming up, but it sure seems like there's a bunch of super teams, so we can chat sports, folks. It is Election Day tomorrow. Big elections in New Jersey, Virginia, the mayor of New York. Here in our region, I think the biggest election that's kind of on folks' minds is the Saginaw Township renewal, their bond renewal. For those of you that live in Saginaw Township, you have some pretty old facilities that need help, and so that's been quite the contentious election and has been for a couple cycles now. So we have that going on. Is the election tomorrow a referendum on the White House? Is that, a lot of times people look at these odd year elections in Virginia and in New Jersey and kind of go, okay, is this kind of a referendum on what's going on nationally? Or whatever else is on your mind? As I said last hour, in my old jobs, folks, I had to play really Pollyannish a lot of times, and I tried to be as good as I could possibly be. I have a little bit more freedom to say what I actually think and like. So if you call in, be prepared. We may have a robust dialogue. What do we think, Jonathan? And then, you know what? Jonathan's in trouble, folks.
Oh, no.
He did something that you're not supposed to do, which is to talk about the show when we're off the air, although he didn't know that we're going to do it. $800 million for the, which drawing? Mega Millions? Powerball?
I don't know. I just heard it in the news there.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Okay.
We're going back to Chat GP Dento, who is completely our researcher today.
Who gets drawn on? So it must be Mega Millions, because Powerball is not that
at
high.
that level.
Yeah.
But Jonathan posed a great question to me. If I won $800 million, what would be the first thing I would do? So, you know what? I think that's a heck of a question for everyone today.
I'm going to follow that up, since we don't have a caller right now. Who would you tell right away?
So this is so sad.
Because I've been thinking about this. It's like, I'm not telling hardly anybody.
There's that old saying, until it's done, tell no one, right?
Yeah.
So I've thought about that. I've thought about, okay, so you're holding a ticket and you buy it and you go to 7-Eleven, you got your ticket. And It's never really a big deal, right? You generally like, okay, I'm going to throw this in the fire. But if you win at that moment, that ticket's worth $800 million. What do you do with that ticket? To like what level of panic? So I've thought about this before. I've literally thought about this. So I tell my wife, because that seems reasonable. At that exact moment, though, I would make 2 calls. I would call an attorney. I would call our attorney and say, hey, this is going on. We got to do this. Actually, I'd make 3 calls. I apologize. 2. I would call a security-type company.
Ooh.
And I would bring them in to secure the ticket in a way. It's worth $800 million. If you had $800 million just laying around in your house, would you just...
As a single piece of paper?
Would you just... I'm going to throw that next to the stove and then turn the stove. I would be so freaked out that we would do something stupid to that ticket. So I would hire a security company to come immediately and secure the ticket and guard the ticket and the whole bit, and like make sure that there was an agreement with them. If you do something to this, you owe me $800 million. Like, I would want it kind of almost out of my control at that point, so you just don't throw it away with the Myers receipt, right?
Yeah.
And then third, and this is going to sound stupid, gosh, I'd want to get that turned in as quick as possible. So I'd try to find a way. I would find someone in state government. You know, I'm just going to throw them out there. I'd call Timmy Beeson, my state rep, and go, how do we get this to the right person at the lottery office immediately? We want to come in now and get it officially turned in and certified.
The second you walk in the door,
like,
you want the person there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, how do we do this? Drag them out of bed. What do we got to do? Like, I would be in a hurry. It's almost like thinking about depositing that money in your account. Like,
Yeah.
I would be in a hurry to, like, let's get this turned in, because that would freak me out beyond all belief.
You're not going to believe it. We've got a caller. It's Gus from Midland.
Oh, shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking. I never would have thought that we would hear from Gus from Midland. Good morning, Gus.
Hey, Matt, how are you? Hey, Jonathan?
Hello.
So what's on your mind this morning, Gus?
Oh, Matt. Was it as bad in person as it was on TV yesterday?
You know, it was super frustrating because we go down and we score on that first possession. It was pretty much a possession of Laporta. He makes a great catch, and then after that, we just physically got our butts handed to us on the line of scrimmage. Their offensive and defensive lines kind of seemed to dominate the game, including their defensive line, and the offense was so out of rhythm. But you know what struck me the most, Gus? And I love football, and I've been around it my whole life. We simply couldn't run the football yesterday, and that 1-2 punch of Montgomery and Gibbs was missing. And when we can't run the football, we are a very beatable football team. So I will tell you in person, it looked awful. How'd it look on TV to you?
Yeah, awful.
So I got to ask you to play the game. Who is going to be the next Detroit sports team to win a championship, Gus? If if your life depended on it, which Detroit team is most likely to win the next championship?
Well, I'd like to say if the Tigers can actually get some hitters, it'd be the Tigers. But I don't think if the Tigers would have made it to the World Series, they would have had a chance with the way them teams were hitting.
It was pretty unbelievable, right? So then that's going to lead me down the next road. We currently have the best pitcher in baseball in Tarek Skubal, right? And so often this year, I watched, and it was frustrating, Gus. You know, he would lose games 2-1, 3-2. Like, there was just, I'm like, man, if you're Skubal, can't you have that day where, like, you're up 7-0 before you walk out of the dugout one time, right? He's been put in a horrible position the entire time. So here's my question. I'm going to make you the Ilitch family. You're Chris Ilitch. Do you pay Tarek Skubal the massive, obscene, unbelievable amount of money to keep him, or do you trade Tarek Skubal and try to bring in the king's ransom at this point?
Keep them and bring in some hitters.
Okay.
I wasn't on that page whenever this was being talked about a few weeks ago. I think I'm there now.
So you guys want to keep Skubal?
I think so.
You don't want to see him leave. You figure if you have the best pitcher in baseball, we got to keep him, right?
That's the chance you got.
So the problem I always have with baseball prospects is there's so many, and they truly are prospects. And I've heard too often, this is a surefire, can't miss, the greatest whatever, third baseman we've ever seen. He's the greatest hitter of all time. Even Green and Torkelson, who I have gotten to the point where I will say like. I loved them at one point, but down the stretch, they were not hitting the ball, right? And these were supposed to be those two surefire kids who would never miss. There's no guarantees if you trade those picks, don't you think, Gus?
No guarantees. Nope. But I think if you got that arm, you got to at least give that a chance and hope you can bring some bats in and give the guy some runs. He has no support.
So, Gus, I'm going to keep you on the spot. Tell me how this Lions season finishes, because it's still a brutal schedule, right? We got a little bit of help yesterday, unfortunately, and that Jaden Daniels got hurt for the Commanders. So I'm going to a backup quarterback, and they're really struggling. So we go to Washington, who's really, kind of devolving into that season of disappointment and chaos. So we're getting them at the right time, but the schedule's tough. What happens for the Lions the rest of the year?
I'd say they got 5 more losses on the schedule the way they played yesterday.
So do they make the playoffs or no?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's going to be tight, right?
That's tough. Yeah, I mean, Chicago's coming around. Green Bay is always threatening. We know what Minnesota can do now. So,
if there's one thing that I do feel good about and that I actually like, and I'm a Michigan State guy, so I'm going to get a Michigan State rant out of the way. Michigan State's football coach is a man of little emotion. He looks the same when he's sad, mad, happy. He always kind of has the same thing. One thing I do love about Dan Campbell, I don't know if you saw the post game, he came up and he just said, you know what? They had a great game plan. They stuck to it. Those men over there did a great job, deserved to win. We played bad in all three phases. At the end of the day, there's one man responsible when a team plays bad in all three phases coming off the bye week, and that's the head coach. And he goes, and that's me. And we're like, thanks, coach. We got that. But I love a guy who takes accountability. So if there's one thing, Gus, that does give me hope, I do think Dan Campbell's a man of no BS, and he's a man who takes accountability, which is hard to find these days, period. And so if I have a glimmer of hope, I feel like he can get us to the promised land still.
Yeah, there's no doubt he takes responsibility for his team, and I like that as well.
Well, Gus,
that week off didn't do him any good.
It did not. We looked rusty. Gus, good chatting you always. Appreciate the call. We'll be back after these messages.
It's a joy to watch your kids grow.
Welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. The Art Lewis Show is presented by Westside Decorating Center. Visit them at 5789 State Street in Saginaw or online at westsidedecoratingcenter.com. So, Jonathan, I doubted you, and the good Lord over my shoulder has said, you know what, Matt, you should trust Jonathan Dent more. Is that a ray of sunshine trying to peek through those clouds?
It is succeeding in shining through the clouds. Yeah, sun's coming out. The wind will pick up, dry things out, and it'll be a nice afternoon.
I didn't even need to wait for Terry Henney. Apparently, you're that thorough now with your weather forecasting. I mean,
just
that's
pay
great.
Attention a little,
you just
a
pay
little
attention.
Bit. Happened to be paying attention this morning. Yeah,
I've wanted to ask you before though. Are you a weather weenie?
No. Heck no.
That's just me. Oh, well. What are you going to do? Folks, we are taking calls. If you want to call in, the number here is 989-752-6111. Again, 989-752-6111. And, John, I think we have some callers.
We do. Mark is in Bay City. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, guys. How are you this morning?
Good, Mark. What's on your mind today?
Looking to get your thoughts since you are into politics so much, and that's all I hear is politics and politics from you. You might have some inside information on the Schumer shutdown. The Republicans voted 13 times to keep the government open with a continuing resolution that the Democrats had voted in the past several times. Just if we could get a continuous resolution, we could solve issues. But this go around, it seems the Democrats are not interested in a continuous resolution. I do have some insight that maybe Wednesday or Thursday they're going to vote to reopen it. But what's your thoughts?
Ooh, the Schumer shutdown. Where did we get the Schumer shutdown lingo? We're putting it on the Senate leader there on the Democratic side?
Absolutely.
So here would be my question, because the Senate's a unique animal because it doesn't allow for just 5150s, right? You have to get to 60. They set up the Senate specifically so that people had to come together. I will tell you, Mark, as someone who does love politics, when you start dealing with a budget this late and this long, I don't care what party you are, you're messing with Americans. You're messing with people's paychecks. You're messing with government. You're messing with national defense. So I will agree with you and that Schumer is to blame. But I will go one step further and say so are Republicans, because this is one of those spots where people are asked to come together and to find collaboration, to find the middle, to get people to say, hey, let's put the swords down and let's do what's right for America. So I'll tell you, Mark, as I've gotten older, my frustration is quite frankly with both parties, and it's actually the radical wings of both parties that really frustrate me. I think that they take the country back. So while I understand the lingo behind the Schumer shutdown and why you see it that way, sitting on your side, I totally understand it. My frustration is that this is kind of a time where people are supposed to come together and work for the American people, and both sides are more dead set on playing political games than they are finding agreement. So what are you hearing about Wednesday? I'd love to hear your scoop on this.
Truth Social has Trump has on there Truth Social that Schumer was talking about Wednesday or Thursday of having a vote to reopen.
Yeah, and what are we waiting for? Do we pay these folks?
Well,
are they getting a paycheck? Where are they today? What are we doing today that we're not in there working and voting and negotiating this today?
To gen up frustrations with the November 3rd election, potentially to try to swing some votes.
But which way do you think they swing? Because I've been seeing, at least in New Jersey, the Republican is really making ground, and the Republicans kind of coming. You think that Democrats think by holding this up, they're making Republicans look bad, and they're going to sneak a couple elections?
A few votes here and there. Anywhere you can get a vote, I believe they use people as pawns to try to gain leverage on policy.
Well, the great part about elections, Mark, is we get to find out what happens, which we will see here on Tuesday. Appreciate the call. Jonathan, who else we got with us?
We're going to head over to Carl in Saginaw now. Carl, good morning.
Good morning, Jonathan, Matt. Just for a second, the Republicans could end this shutdown today if Trump wanted to. I mean, I don't think you can put it on one side or the other. But I actually called about the Supreme Court is going to hear arguments about tariffs, whether Trump has the emergency powers to do the tariffs the way he's been doing. The Constitution says that's up to Congress. It seems to me we're not really in an emergency. If you think the tariff is wrong, then go to Congress and have them change the tariff on China. What do you think?
So we're talking about two different issues, unfortunately. I would just say I think the Supreme Court has unfortunately taken a much more political slant than it has one based on law of late. You have had a couple different swings. Barrett, Coney, and Roberts have really kind of bucked the trend, but of late, and there's people that believe this, whether you believe it or not, to the victor goes the spoils. So when you control the White House and Supreme Court seats open, you get to appoint your candidate that, let's face it, we hope that these folks come in and they're an independent voice, but the reality is both sides, they're not. They either slant right or they slant left. Occasionally we find that person who kind of goes in either direction. So my concern, Carl, would be that the issue is actually not going to be looked on from a legal merit, and that it's going to be more a referendum on, do you give the president continued powers or not? Because if you look at what the Supreme Court did in the last couple of years, they basically said if you're the president, you can do whatever you want. You're not legally liable anymore or responsible, right? They gave presidents free reign. Well, geez, if you gave a president free reign to commit crimes, well, do we really think they're going to hold back the president from having power over emergency powers on tariffs? Seems like that's pretty mild, right? You can go kill someone, but probably not be held accountable anymore because, geez, I was president. But we think that they're going to be savvy enough to say, oh, well, fine, you can go commit whatever crime you want, but no, you don't get tariff power. I would just say that I think politics is going to win more than law on this, and at the end of the day, the president's going to have that right. What do you think, Carl?
I think he probably will, and I think the Supreme Court is making a big mistake thinking that only Trump is going to be president from now on. What happens when somebody else is president and they have immunity? Are they thinking ahead?
Well, Carl, I try to tell everyone, be careful, the bridges you build, because at the end of the day, if there's one thing I've learned about politics historically, is that it definitely windshield wipers back and forth, and it will go back and forth again. And so it's only a matter of time. Appreciate the call, Carl. We have to go to a break, but we'll be back after these messages.
On a dairy, decision.
Politics, school bonds, how you would spend $800 million if you won Mega Millions? Call in. I'd love to hear what you got to say. The number is 989-752-6111. Again, 752-6111. So I was teasing before we got the calls that Jonathan was accidentally, on purpose, not on purpose, had no idea that he was talking about the show. Jonathan, what's the first thing you would do if you won an $800 million Mega Millions jackpot? What's move one?
So we got it turned in yet, or no? I've just got the ticket still, because that's what we talked about with you. It was like hiring private security.
That was on my mind for
it
years.
makes
I had
sense.
to get it out. So it's turned in. It's certified. That
My $800 million has become more like $300 million.
Yeah, because you're going to take the one lump sum,
Yeah.
right? You're not going to gamble that you're actually going to live for 30 years. A meteor could hit you. Who knows,
Yeah.
right? So you take it in your lump sum, and then there's taxes and all the stuff. So, yeah, everyone's done their business. You're sitting on $300 million. What's your first move?
My top priority, and I decided this years ago, was there's a piece of like family property up north that it's like, okay, I'm going to set money aside. It's not directly in like my family line anymore. It's moved off to a cousin, but it's like I'm setting up aside some money, and we're going to make sure that stays in the family, no matter who owns it.
I like that. But you've told us your secret, and if I figure out where that property is and I can just go buy it now without winning the lotto, I forever have something over your head at this point.
You could, and you would make me very sad.
Okay, I'm not in the game of making Jonathan Dent very sad. So Jonathan asked me the question off the air, and I'm going to put a slight tilt to it. But he said, what would you do? And I guess would go one of two ways, but the same thought process is, my mom just turned 74 on Saturday. So once again, happy birthday, Mom.
Yeah.
But my in-laws are kind of all in that low 70s. My mom's that age. Still relatively good health, right? But geez, it's you can see it in their faces. Mortality sets in, right? When you're 74, what happens in the next 20 years? Like that's a lot to really think about and a lot to swallow down while you're having birthday dinner, right? But it's a reality, right? And you kind of look at it one or two ways, Jonathan. One is, yeah, that is a lot, but two, it's a privilege to get that opportunity because so many don't, right? But if I won that money, geez, I would want to take care, I think, my mom and my in-laws at that point so that their remaining time with us the next 30 years, the Lord willing.
Well, with that much money, you can.
Yeah, they don't have to cook. They don't have to clean. They don't have to do laundry. They don't have to do yard work. They can go down and sit on the beach for the next 20 years, 2 weeks a year. Like, I just want their, remaining time to be truly restful and to not have stress or work. So, I don't know. Does that sound like super Pollyanna-ish here on a Monday, November 3rd at 10:44?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's what I want at this point,
no,
right?
fair enough.
I've worked hard. I'm fortunate. I got what I need, right? I was able to spend X dollars yesterday and watch the Lions take one on the chin, right? Life's good. Like, I don't know. That's where I would go. But then it's like, man, this is where our age gap strikes, Jonathan. Do you remember the SNL with Steve Martin where he talks about if he had $1 million, what he'd do? And he goes through this whole list of things. But every time he does it, he gets greedier and greedier as he walks back there. And it's kind of funny. So I'm going to make you watch that between now and tomorrow's show.
That's two SNL skits that I got to watch.
That you have
now.
to watch.
Yeah.
Steve Martin, SNL, what he would do with $1 million, and Chat GPT. Those are the two. If you're going to do something selfish, though, which, come on, why not? Yeah, I don't know. I think that I would do two things. Number one, I'm getting a suite at every Michigan State game for the rest of perpetuity. The Matt Flon suite, my friends are coming, and we're all going to live a tortured hell together watching our team.
I was going to say, why would you do that to yourself?
I'm a sadist. So that's one.
You could get a suite at the big house and have a great time.
You watch your mouth. You watch your mouth. The second thing we would do, and it would be in two locations, but I need some just monstrosity on a cliff overlooking Lake Michigan. Absolutely. And something on an island surrounded by water with like a coconut that I take off the top or a pineapple that I take off the top and I put in a big, obnoxious, oversized straw and I just drink delicious alcohol-induced beverages and look out over the water.
I don't want that.
Why not?
No. That doesn't, no.
Does that sound like a horrible Saturday to you?
I'd rather be in the middle of the woods in a cabin somewhere.
Well,
that'd be the property idea.
As we're both super old men, we know that we won't run into each other. We're going to be in different worlds unless we intentionally plan it. Okay, folks, we're going to take another break. But remember, we're taking calls. Love for you to call in 752-6111 after these messages.
It's almost here. Associates
W is keeping you connected with the Great Lakes.
Welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's our last segment here on a now getting sunny, per the promise of Jonathan Dent, Monday.
You said it's the last segment. I had to check the clock. Yeah, it is. Wow.
Life moves fast when you're having fun,
Yep.
Jonathan Dent. That's just how it goes. So we have a caller on the line with us. Who's with us, Jonathan?
Michael's in West Branch. Good morning, Michael. I should probably make sure that we can hear you. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Jonathan. How are you?
We're doing good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Michael, what's on your mind today?
I heard your comments in regards to the Supreme Court and its political bent, and I vehemently disagree with you.
So
tell you
walk
why.
me through this. Totally
Okay.
fair to disagree. Walk me through. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I believe in the justices that Trump selected, and they were confirmed. They are originalists, constitutionalists. They try to look at the Constitution just like Antonin Scalia. He said he made many decisions that in his heart he didn't agree with, but he had to follow the Constitution. They're trying to look at the Constitution and interpret, again, its original concepts, whereas you got three justices that are progressives that think the document is malleable and it's a living, breathing document. That's absolutely, in my opinion, that's absolutely wrong. Again, you've got justices that look at that document and try to interpret it again in its original words. And you look at presidents. There's no way you can charge a president. Obama killed an American citizen without due process. You're gonna charge him for that? Presidents have to have the free will to make decisions, and they can't be looking at being charged for something. They got to do what's best for the American people and keep the country safe.
So let me ask you a question, and I'm just going to lay it out there to get your thoughts. So why is it when, if you just kind of look historically, you have a court that leans conservative, something like abortion's illegal federally, then when you have a more progressive court, now it's legal, then you go back to a more conservative court at 6-3, it's now illegal. It just gives the appearances of perception that when you look at a lot of the big social issues in particular, that it seems that what the laws come down on often are with a political slant and just not based in law. Don't you think we've seen that historically, that seems to be the case, that somewhere in there, political slant is having an impact in both directions?
I think it's human nature to have some kind of, is going to be, they're not robots. But again, when you get people on the Supreme Court who, again, are in the mold of Antonin Scalia, I put him up one of the top people on the court of all time, and again, they're interpreting it, and I disagree with when I hear even journalists say things like liberal or conservative. No, let's just call them constitutionalists. Again, that if you have to try to interpret the Constitution the way it's written. Don't think it's a malleable document. Again, you got three judges that are progressive, and some of the decisions are made. It's beyond belief, because they're not looking at. I forget, for example, on guns. Some of the decisions they made on guns. I mean, we got a solid Second Amendment, so you get the right to bear arms, and some of their decisions are just outrageous. They're not looking at it from a constitutional perspective. They're looking at it from a totally political perspective.
In addition to that, though, they've got to sort through. They're not just looking at the Constitution. They're looking at all of the laws built on top of the Constitution, which do have a political bent. You see laws that are put into place when Republicans or Democrats have a majority. They've got to work through those laws as well and make sure everything is aligned with that as well.
You're talking about precedent decisions are made, and
you can do that with case law, but also with just laws that are made.
Right. Well, I agree, but do you see it again as I think it's just a foundational. Do justices look at the Constitution as a malleable document, or is it, again, try to interpret it in its original wording? Try to be originalists and there's a whole organization that was what Trump selected. Hey, when we ran the first time, hey, I've got a list of prospective Supreme Court